Apa? Iya. Iya.
Yes, I can keep it forever. I like this book.
Udah deh, udah 10 kali kamu bikin lagi. Iya, betul apa? Iya.
Well, I really like it.
Kamu makan apa?
I really love this.
Dia udah dingin, juga ada ya? Kamu juga apa? Juga udah nyobain sayur ini kayaknya. Ini korupus, Kak. Korupus doang gitu? Sayur lah, Kak. Misalnya ini ya. Oh, sama ini aja. Ini one matters. Pokoknya aja. Kamu cobain sih yang enak kok. Kak, kamu barusan ngomong sama manajernya. Kalau dia mau datang ke sini, harus bangun pagi. Gak boleh berhenti malam, nanti kesini pagi. Kayak mau sekolah itu.
Oh yeah, so it's called
bangunnya harus kayak itu, kayak sekolah.
Yeah.
Kayak punya tukang.
Oh, what kind of cat is this? It's a dog cat.
Persian kali. Persian cat.
I like this cat. And yeah. This cat. It's cute, Mom. What's this cat called? It's so cute, fluffy. I especially like the name.
Udah dibuka sama si Alif ininya, moderatornya. Admin. Apa? Oh, maknanya makna man pergi ya?
Ini mau cari yang lain.
Mute.
Bagaimana caranya?
Mute sabi.
Ada. Anunya anu diktis Kementerian Agama RI. Profesor Arskal Salimuji.
Pak Direktur tadi sudah saya kasih link Pak Zul.
Oke, ya. Siap. Kayaknya Farhan sudah gabung juga. Good morning, Farhan. Good morning, Netherlands time, I think. Farhan?
Belum masuk ya Pak,
Itu
Profannya.
siapa? Ini Hans siapa nih? Ada Hans itu siapa?
Ini bukan Pak, itu teman. Prof
Oh,
Franz
kira
belum.
Hans ya. Oh, Franz ya, bukan Hans ya. Alright. Oh ya, Franz Whitson namanya. Belum dijawab sama ini yang Prof.
Saya kasih link Pak.
Kayaknya Farhan sudah gabung.
Bukan itu Pak Zul, itu teman.
Oh iya. Oke, namanya Friends bukan Hands. Saya jadi ini. Ya, belum Mas, belum. Ini saya lagi kontak nih.
Ini yang ini Pak, yang live TV.
Oh iya. Yang dijawab sama belum jawab. Okay.
Oke, Prof. Franz sudah bergabung, Pak
Oke, udah ya.
Zul.
Good afternoon.
Oke, good afternoon.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Prof. Franz. Prof. Franz.
Hi.
Good day. How do you do?
I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, we are happy for having you here in the meeting.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Okay, we wait for up to 3 o'clock.
That's fine.
It's okay. Okay, yeah. We are waiting for the director, Prof. Askar Salim, to come to the meeting.
So you came early.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we wait for nearly half an hour.
Hello, Prof. Franz, how are you?
Yeah,
Fine.
Pak
Hi.
Adib.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good
Nice
afternoon,
to see you
yes.
again.
So, have you met Dr. Adib before, Prof. Franz?
Sorry?
Have you met Dr. Adib, Mr. Adib?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you
I
forgot.
don't
Maybe.
think so.
Okay.
Frank, you met Adib in Radboud University.
I what?
He's forgotten.
In Radboud.
At the NU conference.
He came with Mr. Minister.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, there were so many people.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in the NU conference.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
conference, yes.
My connection a bit trouble.
Aula.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Pak Zul,
Yep.
sudah kirim linknya ke Pak Direktur ya?
Udah. Yeah. We just wait for Pak Direktur.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just arrived from office, so directly
Oi.
I connect to the internet, so yeah. Everything will be okay.
I hope so. So how many minutes that from office to your house? 1 hour? 1 hour or less than 1 hour?
Halo Pak Zul.
Yep. Pak Adib. Pak Mas Alif, Pak itu udah ada belum?
Belum, Pak.
Belum ya? Belum ada Pak Adib, Pak Direktur.
Jam 3 mungkin, Pak, karena belum jam 3, masih 10 menit lagi.
Oke.
Halo Pak Zul.
Ya. Jaringannya kurang bagus Pak Adib, putus-putus.
Yeah, I know. What about, can you hear my voice?
Yes, I can hear your voice.
Good.
Yeah. But little bit noisy.
Yeah, a bit noisy because I'm zooming at home, so a lot of voice from my kid for sure. You know.
Yeah. Right.
So how many participants already, Pak Zul?
Now it's 32.
32.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Afternoon, Pak Afnan. Ya, Mas Afnan.
Afnan, you need to
sehat Mas Afnan. Terima kasih ya.
To ask a question ya.
Makasih ya Pak Afnan ya. Dibantu tadi itu.
Ya. Oke, sama-sama. Materinya udah ya?
Materinya udah dikirim ke belum?
Di email atau saya kirim lagi ke Zoom ya?
Ke WA aja deh. Ke WA aja.
Oke.
Jaringannya bagus ya.
Bikin saya.
Pakai WiFi.
Iya di email. Yang ngirim Pak Fran sendiri tadi malam.
Pak Fran sendiri ngirim.
Ya.
Let me check. Wait.
He ask you to share on screen.
Alright. Oh iya, udah receive already.
Ketemu ya? Ada ya?
Ya,
10 points. Yeah.
Yeah. Send it to Mas Ali.
Pak Direktur udah masuk belum?
Belum. Alright. Mas Afnan nggak bisa di-download, Mas Afnan?
Saya kirim ke apa?
WA
Ke
deh.
WA.
WA
Ya,
deh.
oke. Okay, wait.
Bisa nih. Oke, makasih Mas Afnan.
Oke, Nan.
Cuma 2 lembar ya Mas Afnan ya? Mas Afnan cuma 2 lembar ya?
Ya betul ya.
Oke, makasih ya.
Halo. Halo.
Saya barusan telepon Pak Direktur, belum di ini Pak Zul. Coba
Gimana?
dicoba lagi Pak Zul.
Oke. Bentar ditanya nih, Pak.
Izin Pak Direktur sudah siap untuk dimulai gitu.
Oke, baik. Siap. Pak Direktur.
Kalau Pak Direktur udah masuk, langsung kita mulai Pak Zul.
Oke, siap ya. Oke, belum dijawab Pak Adit. Ininya Pak Direktur.
Mungkin di telepon langsung aja.
Hah? Telepon aja ya.
Ada yang dari Wakil Rektor yang hadir nggak nih? Tadi saya ada Wakil Rektor 1 yang hadir di forum ini. Salib, coba cek. Wah, ini sudah ada suara asar tuh.
Iya.
Belum, Mbak.
Cari link ini.
Prof Franz. Halo. So you still remember me, Prof Franz?
Who is speaking now?
Adib
Mr.
speaking. I use Peji.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
iya,
see you.
iya.
Yeah.
So last year I accompany Mr. Lukman Hakim Saifuddin visited your university.
During the NU conference.
Yeah. NU
Okay,
conference.
so I have many friends in the audience. That's good.
That's good to have many friends.
Yani,
Hello, Prof.
bye.
Nice to see you and listening your lecture.
Yeah, that's okay. I will draw on your research. I will
Sure.
mention your research. So
Yes, I will be very happy to hear that. Thank you so
maybe I
much.
give the floor to you later on. Or you may correct me if I'm wrong.
I will try. Thank you so much.
Where are you, Mbak Yani? Are you in Solo?
Hi, Mas Omnan. Yeah,
Are
I'm
you in
fine.
Solo?
Yeah, still in Solo
Oh, okay.
while taking care of children.
Stay safe. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. How are you, Mas?
Mana Pak Zul, sudah ada komunikasi?
Udah tadi udah diangkat Pak Sebi. Udah dijawab. Iya juga.
Kita kasih toleransi mungkin 5 menit lagi. Kalau 5 menit hingga ini kita buka aja.
Oke, siap.
Dimulai nanti saya mengantarkan. Nanti kalau Pak Direktur gabung kita kasih closing statement dari Pak Direktur gitu aja.
Oke, baik. Oke, siap ya.
Nanti, halo?
Ya, yang kemudian juga bisa nanti bisa kita. Jadi nanti mereka yang
Kalau di grup itu memang rawan, dia ngumpulin anaknya gitu.
Bentar lagi Pak Direktur gabung, Pak Zul.
Oke, siap. Oke, baik.
Ya. Jadi memang bisa dilakukan.
Selamat siang Pak Direktur.
Ya, selamat siang.
Salam. Kita mulai ya Pak Direktur.
Ya, mulai aja Pak.
Ya.
Oke, makasih.
Assalamualaikum Pak Adib.
Waalaikumsalam. Kita mulai aja ya.
Oke. Saya mulai Pak Adib.
Ya, salam.
Oke. Assalamualaikum. Sorry, sorry. Let me repeat again. I was pressing the mode sign in this. All right. Thanks for being with us in this meeting. I will start again from the beginning. For all our audience, that I would like to introduce our special guest for this today meeting. He is a professor from Radboud University in Netherlands, and the topic will be what we call empirical and practical religious studies. For reasons, we are happy to have you here in this meeting, and we are thanking you for being with us. And before we come to the main topic, I would like to give time for our director for the opening speech. For Prof. Askar, please, your time is yours. Silakan Pak Direktur. Pak Direktur, silakan di unmute Pak Ali.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Zulfahari. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah Muhammad ibn Abdullah, la hawla wa la quwata illa billah ma ba'du. Honorable guest speaker, Professor Dr. Vision from Radboud University in the Netherlands, Head of Subdirectorate, Pak Adib, and Head of Section, Pak Zulfahari, and others, and all audience participants of this webinar, international seminar, which now I can see there are more than 80 participants joining this international seminar. First of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity this afternoon to deliver an opening remark for this international seminar entitled Strengthening Islamic Higher Education, Religion and Ecology. And I'm so pleased that Professor Dr. Franz Vision is with us now and will deliver his talk about religion and ecology. I would like to appreciate the head of subdirectorate and staff for organizing this important international seminar, especially now that the world, including Indonesia, is experiencing the pandemic, and we learn a lot from this pandemic, COVID-19, that ecology is essential, is crucial to our life in this world. And so many lessons that we have learned, and we are wondering about the role of religion in this matter, how religion and ecology are intertwined and support one another. I'm very much in support of this kind of topic to be discussed among lecturers, professors at the Islamic higher education. Just for the information that so far we have more than 800 Islamic higher education institutions all over Indonesia, which 58 of them are state funded. The rest are private institutions. And we hope that this international seminar could enlighten our perspective and our knowledge about what is happening now in the world, especially given the pandemic, and what we can do for the next, especially how we can try to find the role or the contribution of religion, all religion, not necessarily Islam, I guess, to play a key role in order to, to minimize the impact of this pandemic and to anticipate the big, the negative sides of this pandemic. And I hope through this seminar, we could learn something from Professor Franz Wissen. Yeah, I know that he has done a number of research and also deliver some talks regarding this issue. And to my knowledge, ecology is less paid attention by many of our lecturers and professors at Islamic education. Ecology perhaps is something that is paid attention by professors or lecturers from Faculty of Science and Technology. And now we try to introduce this topic in order to attract attention from lecturers from those faculties of Islamic education, Islamic law, Islamic humanities, and so on and so on. I guess that's all that I can deliver for this opening remark. I'm so glad that this is, I guess, for the second time, or maybe the third time, the head of subdirectorate of the institutional capacity building and cooperation led by Dr. Adib organized this kind of international seminar. And I hope we could do more international seminar in the next few months, and will benefit from this kind of events eventually. I guess that's all for now, and I should end this opening remark. Thank you again for this seminar and for joining this international seminar. I should end now. Terima kasih. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Pak Director. And that everything he said about thing that is really very important for all of us. And I hope this kind of statement it will be a reminder for every one of us to make changes and to develop and to improve the quality of Islamic studies in our university, especially in time of this pandemic. And I hope this seminar will bring something news to us, or bring something good for every one of us. And we move to the main lecture, the main topic of this seminar. And I would like to ask Prof. Franz to present his presentation. Please, Prof. Franz, time is here. Thank you very much. Prof. Franz?
Yeah.
Please, yeah, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat sore. These are the few words that I know in Bahasa. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's a good Indonesian language, really.
Sorry?
That's a good one, you know, Indonesian language.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, dear colleagues, friends, some of you visited Netherlands, some of you studied in Netherlands, some of you visited Radboud University, my university. It is really a pleasure and an honor to share with you some ideas about religion and ecology. And I thank the Director of Islamic Higher Education, Professor Salim, for his nice words, for his welcome, but also for the funding given to some of the PhD students, which is of course very important to do the research that we are doing. In fact, what I wanted to do with you this afternoon is just share 10 points of reflection, and yeah, it is not more than that. So I don't have an elaborated speech. I just want to share with you 10 points, and of course I hope that those points are an opportunity to have a sharing and also a discussion with you. Sofian, I don't know whether you can share the outline
Right,
that
I will ask Mr. Alip, can you share this? Alip?
Iya, Pak.
Ya, tolong di-share, Pak. Ini, Mas.
Oh ya, oke.
PPT-nya. Sorry for waiting, Professor.
no problem.
It's okay, continue.
Yeah.
Okay, basically I have 10 points that I wanted to share with you, and I hope that we can have a discussion with you. But basically there are some statements, and I will give a brief explanation of what I'm talking about. The first point is that environmental degradation is a common challenge to the whole humanity, and Indonesia is a major player in this respect. Basically, when I say that environmental degradation is a common challenge to all humanity, I hope that that does not need any explanation. For me, that is common sense. But also that Indonesia is a major player in this global challenge. And I just give you some background, and possibly it is nothing new for you, but it is important to remember that Indonesia is the 4th largest population in the world. Many people in the West don't know that Indonesia is the 4th largest population in the world, and it has the 2nd largest rainforest. The 2nd largest rainforest in the world. Indonesia is named the, I'm not sure what is happening here. Anyway, I continue. Indonesia is named the 3rd largest polluter in the world. It is the 2nd biggest contributor to waste. It is the 2nd highest emitter of greenhouse gases, and it is the 2nd biggest deforester of the world. So these are some facts. We can debate about the facts. I think the facts in themselves are not so important. It is more the global picture. Yeah, that's nice. Indonesia has a population growth of 1.5%, leading to approximately 400 million people in the year 2050. So 400 million people that have to eat, that have to wash, that travel, that go from one place and another. That is an enormous challenge. It has an economic growth of 6%. Jakarta alone produces 6 tons of waste every day. It has heavily polluted rivers, so that's Ciliwung River in Jakarta, Citarum River in West Java. One of the PhD students that is present here did her research on that. Rivers that are heavily polluted by microplastics, chemicals, metals, antibiotics, creating enormous health problems. Indonesia lost already 80% of its rainforest. And as I said, Indonesia has the 2nd largest rainforest in the world. That is not only a problem for Indonesia, that is a problem for the whole of the world. As we know, forests affect climate change with their carbon absorbing superpowers. Trees absorb carbon dioxide as they grow, and they convert that into oxygen. That is an enormous important fact. Now, happily, Indonesia plays a major role in international negotiations. It was one of the first countries that ratified the Kyoto Protocol of 2004. It hosted important UN climate conferences, as the climate conference in Bali in 2007. So it plays Indonesia as a country plays an enormous role on the global level. That is important. But of course, the leadership position in the global world does not make sense if there is not a domestic policy that is in harmony with that international role. So that is enough, I think, for the first point that I wanted to make. Environmental degradation is a common challenge to the whole of humanity, and Indonesia plays a major role in this respect. My second point, according to various United Nations, for example, the United Nations Environment Program, water and waste management are responsibilities for all human beings and for religious believers in particular. So all religions have a concern for the earth, despite interreligious conflict. You know, we hear a lot about Islam in the world, and particularly in the West, the picture of Islam is quite negative, creating conflict, fundamentalism, war, and so on. But there is another picture to that. There is an enormous interreligious collaboration when we look at environmental concern. And here again, Indonesia as a country plays an important role in that. Indonesia promotes a moderate Islam. Indonesia promotes the middle path, and particularly in combining also religion and ecology, Indonesia plays an important role. So there is reason for optimism and reason for hope. That's my second point. Then I come to my third point. Yeah. Particularly in Islam, purity is a central value. And it is in sharp contrast to the pollution of land, water, and air. For me, as a scholar of religion, this is something that I want to go deeper into, that in Islam, the whole idea of cleanliness, purity is a central value. But if we look at Indonesia, and I just mentioned some of the facts in the beginning, there is a sharp contrast to the factual pollution that is going on in Indonesia, pollution of land, water, and air. When I look at the global level, I think there are many interesting declarations from the Muslim world. For example, the Islamic Declaration on Climate Change, which are reasons for a big hope. And I see that in the Islamic world, there is really a change when we look at it in terms of climate change. There is also a local awareness in Indonesia. Various campaigns by faith-based organizations such as Nahdlatul Ulama, Muhammadiyah, who issued fatwa, who have zero waste campaigns or garbage donation campaigns. So there is an enormous activity going on in faith-based organizations. And also, you all know the slogans, cleanliness is part of faith, or religion is built on cleanliness, which you can see in many pesantren. They have these nice pictures. So there is really an awareness of the fact that ecology, environmental concern, is really integral, related to the essence of Islamic faith, being purity and cleanliness. So that is an important fact, and a fact that gives hope. At least it gives hope to me. That was my third point. I come to my fourth point. There is an enormous development of eco-theology in Indonesia, but I don't see it reflected yet in the institutes of higher learning. Professor Salim referred to it already. There are 800 institutes of higher learning in Indonesia. And what I see over the past 10 years, there is an enormous development of green theology, a clean theology, eco-theology in various labels, very broad, from NU to Muhammadiyah to other movements, eco-Daqwa, eco-jihad, eco-spirituality, and so on, a green Sufism, many wordings, many new ideas coming up from Islam, which is of course very inspiring. But I don't see it reflected yet in the Institute of Higher Learning. Professor Salim made an interesting observation. I will come back to that later, that he said it is something that is, especially in technical universities or technical departments, but maybe not yet in our departments of Islamic studies or institutes of Islamic studies. Of course, there are some good examples, and Afnan Anshori gave me some examples. I'm great to that. UIN Wali Songo, so the university that he comes from, a green campus in Semarang. UIN Lampung. So there are some good practices of green campuses, but overall, at least from my experience, these are exceptions to the rule. And okay, you may correct me if I'm wrong in the discussion. So how can we go about it? What can we do as institutes of Islamic institutes of higher learning? I come to my fifth point. In 2014, the Ministry of Environment published a very interesting report, Environment Education in Indonesia, and it offers quite some interesting guidelines. And of course, all the facts that I gave in the beginning, they are mentioned there, and particularly they look at how institutes of Islamic learning could be involved in environmental education. So they spoke about the eco-pesantren. Now, according to one of my PhD students who is present in the audience, Haryani, in Central Java, about 30% of the pesantren are eco-pesantren, which is, of course, very good and a very inspiring fact. One of the questions, and now I go to the sixth point, when we think in terms of curriculum development, is ecology a subject or a perspective? I mean, are we satisfied when we say, okay, as an Institute of Islamic University, we have a professor who deals with religion and ecology, or we have a department, and then we are satisfied, we are done. So is it a subject that can be taught by a professor who is specialized in that, or is it a perspective that goes through our whole curriculum? And as Professor Salim in his introduction said already, ecology has to do with Islamic thought. I mentioned that already. Purity, cleanliness is the essence of Islamic thinking. It has to do with ethics, with morality. It has to do with law and jurisprudence. It has to do with spirituality. So ecology could be dealt with as a subject taught by one professor or one department, but it can also be seen as a perspective that goes through our whole curriculum. Now I give you some examples, really challenges, and basically I draw upon the research of one of the PhD students, Haryani Saptaningtyas, who is among the audience. According to Islamic jurisprudence, pure water is running water, or water that is tasteless, colorless, and has no smell. That is according to Islamic law. So we can use water for ablution when the water meets those criteria. Running water, tasteless, colorless, odorless. But we know that there is a lot of water that doesn't taste, has no color, does not smell, but there are chemicals in it. There are pesticides in it. There are antibiotics in it. We don't see them, but they are there. So in what sense is that water pure? Can that be used? Professor Salim, in his introduction, spoke about COVID. Of course, we are taught, at least in the Netherlands, we have to wash our hands regularly. But if the water that I use to wash my hands is polluted with chemicals and so on, what sense does it make? Another issue to be dealt with is that when Muslims go for prayer, they do the ablution, they use 5 liters of water per ablution. That means 25 liters of water per day, per Muslim. Now, Indonesia has about maybe 200 million Muslims. Just measure how much water is used for ablution. What is done with that water? Is it recycled? In many mosques, it is not recycled. So what I want to say is that for Institute of Islamic Education, there are quite some challenges, challenges that go through all the disciplines, not only jurisprudence, but also morality, spirituality, ethics, the essence of Islamic thought. What does it mean to be pure or clean? So I think there is a challenge here. Another issue that is mentioned by the Ministry of Environment is, do we only see environmental education as a cognitive aim? So something that in our curriculum we have to learn, and we teach the students in a cognitive way to be clean, or what cleanliness means. We have rational arguments for that. Or does it go further? Does it touch our heart? I mean, has it something to do with our attitude? Has it something to do with character building? And moreover, has it something to do with our behavior? And here again, I think it's important when we develop curricula in view of environmental education, it is important not only to see environment as a cognitive aim, something that we have to learn in a rational way, but also something that really touches our hearts, something that touches our whole human being, and particularly also the way we behave. So this is my 6th point. In terms of curriculum development, is ecology a subject or a perspective? And is the aim only cognitive, in a rational way? Or is it also something that touches our heart and also the way we practice our faith? Has it to do with our morality? Now, Professor Salim in his introduction said already that environmental care is something that is dealt with in technological universities. And that is, I think, also problematic. For those Islamic universities that have other faculties, for example, behavioral faculties or technological faculties, it is important that scholars of religion really collaborate with professors of technology, professor of the behavioral sciences. 60% of the pollution is household built. But that means it is not industry, it is you and me. It is all of us who pollute. So it has to do with our behavior. And so we really need the behavioral sciences to do something about it. But we also need technological innovations, green technology, clean technology. So for scholars of religion, it is important to collaborate with other disciplines. And a challenge also that comes from the study done by Haryani Sapaningtyas, her PhD, is that there is a kind of a secularization going on in Indonesia. For me as a Western, that is a very interesting fact. You know, we always think that the Western countries are secularized. But in fact, it was shown in the study that there is a real separation between the spiritual world. We as scholars of religion, we deal with the spiritual world, or we deal with the other world, or the the afterlife, and the technological universities, they deal with the material world or this world. I think that is very sad, because when we want to do something about environmental issues, we really need a comprehensive approach. So we cannot separate theology or religious studies from the technological sciences and the behavioral sciences. So I think for institutes of Islamic higher education, it is very important that you collaborate with technological institutes if you don't have a technological faculty yourself, and the behavioral sciences to collaborate. What can we as scholars of religion contribute to environmental awareness from a comprehensive approach? So how can we, from a religious perspective, contribute to technological and behavioral issues? That is really a challenge, something that needs to be discussed and elaborated further. That was my 7th point. Collaboration with technological and behavioral sciences don't separate this material world or technological issues from the spiritual world. I come to my 8th point. Study philosophical foundations that can inspire behavior. Technological innovations without visions lead to bureaucratic changes. Why do I say philosophical? That has to do with an idea that within religions, we see a huge variety of attitudes towards nature and the relationship between humans and nature. That means it seems as if religion does not make a difference when we think in terms of ecology. And it seems that deeper world views or images of man underlie our religious ideas. In the research, the new research that was funded by Mora, conducted by 2 PhD students who are also among the audience today, we look at various images of God in relation to humans and nature. And so we use an instrument for that. We speak about the human being as the master of nature, the human being as the steward of nature, the human being as a partner of nature, and the human being as a participant of nature. And that is important because, for example, when we want to do something about water pollution and flooding, do we think in terms of fighting against water? You know, I come from Netherlands. We are good in water management. So do we fight against water, bigger dams, higher dikes? We are very good in that. Or do we think in terms of building with nature? That is a completely different paradigm. So can I master nature? As we did in the Netherlands, reclaiming land from the sea. But in terms of climate change, you know, higher water levels, of course, we can build more dams, higher dikes. So we fight against water, but is that the solution? Or should we think in terms of a completely different vision? Not fight against water, but build with water, build with nature. So underlying is the view, are we human beings superior to nature? Can we fight nature, or are we partners? Do we collaborate with nature? One of the interviews in the research of Zaimatus, who is among us, the interviewee said, nature can do without human beings, but human beings cannot do without nature. So that is really something that we have to think about. How do we reflect the relationship between human beings and nature? When we think in terms of stewardship in Islamic thought, what does it mean? Does it mean that we protect nature, or that we preserve nature, or that we go back to nature, or that we collaborate with nature, that we are participant in nature. So I think for scholars of Islamic religion, there is a huge challenge here to think further about what does it mean when we say humans are stewards or stewards of nature, or we think in terms of stewardship. What exactly do we mean, and how can we inspire technicians, water engineers? You know, a water engineer builds a dam or builds a dike. That is a technological, bureaucratic something, but they need visions. For what do we do that? How do we see the future? That is an important point, I think, for all institutes, Islamic institutes of higher learning. And I think we have a lot more to do in this respect. Formulate inspiring visions for technicians, for the behavioral sciences. Where do we go to when we think in terms of environment and ecology? My ninth point, practice what you preach. Create clean campuses in terms of rain harvesting, solar energy, waste management. As I said already, but correct me if I'm wrong, I see a lot of development in terms of theology, a green theology, green theology, eco-theology, eco-dakwa, and so on and so on. But I don't see it reflected yet in our campuses. And here again, we are only trustworthy if we practice what we preach. So that means the campus also must be an example for the environment, that we not only teach about environment, but we also try to practice it in our own campus. And one of the ideas that we are working on is the living lab approach. That means we can develop new technologies in a lab, in our universities, in a laboratory, and we come up with a clean technology, but it is not implemented into practice. And because people in the village don't understand what is going on, or they don't trust the new technology. So how can we develop new technologies on the spot, bringing local entrepreneurs, bringing the technician, bringing faith-based organization, bringing governments, from a more comprehensive approach. And I think a campus can be a very good example of a living lab. So what is your problem in your campus in terms of waste management, in terms of recycling water, in terms of energy? A lot more can be done. In terms of rain harvesting, very few campuses do rain harvesting. You have many big roofs in all your campuses, but you don't harvest the rainwater. So a lot can be done in this respect. Now I come to my 10th point. For institutes of higher learning, I think what we teach, or our education, should be based on our research. That is also something that maybe is new to Indonesia. We often teach a lot of things, we use books, but very often it is not based on our own research. And I challenge you to have a look at the national research agenda developed by the Ministry of Research and Technology and Higher Education on the resilient society. Move to the next slide, please. Or move to the bottom of the second
slide. Yes, slide kedua, Mas Ari.
Sorry, if you go down, there is a second page. Yeah. So this is a very interesting model developed by the Ministry of Research and Technology and Higher Education, which really shows a comprehensive approach. At the bottom, you see climate change, you see biodiversity, you see ecology, but you also see governance aspects on top. That means we need the behavioral sciences. Under governance, we see identity, we see religion. Now in a country as Indonesia, where 80 or 90% of the people say that they are religion, and that religion plays an important role in their lives, religion comes in. At the left, we see food, nutrition, water, we see energy. At the right, we see quality of life, health. Professor Salim mentioned in the beginning COVID, which is a health problem. Now we know that health problems and ecological problems are related. We don't know exactly where COVID comes from, but possibly it has to do with the way we keep our animals and the way we treat animals in China. So all those topics are related. And I think that for Institute of Islamic Higher Education, looking at it from a comprehensive approach, you can give a huge contribution. So don't think, okay, when I deal with religion, in the top, under the governance, identity, religion, then my task is done. No, try to look at it from a comprehensive approach. What can I contribute to water management? What can I do to health sciences? And all the other issues, energy transition. So really look at Islamic education from the perspective of a comprehensive approach and see how you can contribute to this very interesting research agenda. And I think that is a major challenge for the future. Well, I think I spoke for half an hour.
All right.
I think I just leave it at that. And well, I hope that we have a nice discussion.
Thank you, Prof. Franz Wiesen. This is really a very good presentation, but really, I'm really shocked to hear this kind of research because you say that Indonesia is one of the most polluted country in the world with bad management, bad waste management, and also very less clean water. I think we need some kind of data to recheck this problem. But in other hand, we have also a good point also. We have a number of Islamic group that are promoting a cleanness, right? And promoting good ecology. I think we are going to have a very big discussion today because this kind of really, open our mind. Thank you, Prof. Wiesen. And I would like to give them to our audience. Does anyone want to ask a question for this kind of presentation? This audience, you can raise your hand.
Pak Zulfikar.
Ya, Pak Zulfikar. Ya, silakan Pak Zulfikar. Ya, pertanyaannya Pak Zulfikar. It's really luar biasa di presentasinya. Very good presentation. Pak Zulfikar mana Mas?
Pak Zulfikar Busro.
Sudah kedengaran ya Pak?
Udah. Oke. Silakan Pak Zulfikar.
Okay. Firstly, thanks for the chance for me, especially for the Mr. Franz Wiesen. All right, talk about ecology, including environmental. I directly remember a Muslim scientist. He is Said Hossein Nasr, a philosopher from Iran. According to Nasr, in fact, modern humans are consciously blamed for the risk of ecology crisis, pollution, and future terrors. From here, Hossein Nasr believes that this problem is not related to underdevelopment or the deterioration of human thinking, but it is crazily triggered by excessive progress or overdevelopment. Furthermore, Hossein Nasr said that the human soul is fragile at a time when modern man, the divine dimension, takes over the rules of God. In traditional societies, nature was seen. Nasser said that in traditional societies, nature was seen as one's wife, but the modern turned into a prostitute. We can find what his idea about how to face the problem of ecology.
I think it's enough,
He approached traditionality with we must be going back to paternalism. Spirituality to develop environment awareness. From this problem, I'm going to ask, how about your opinion, sir, about this? If Nasser idea relate with the ecology problem nowadays, how to government to execute this paradigm, how to apply this idea in education? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, another audience.
Can I respond to that?
Oh, okay. Please,
first of all, I'm very glad that you refer to Nasser, because he was one of the first Islamic thinkers who really addressed this issue in the 1960s already. By the way, it is not only Islam that is blamed. You know, the first article was about Christianity. So basically, it applies to all monotheistic religions, and that has to do with the idea of stewardship. So it is not only Islam, it is the same in Christianity, it is the same in Judaism, that we are masters of nature. Well, your question really addresses the essence of our discussion. And that was exactly the point that I made. It is a philosophical, of course, it is a religious issue, but it is moreover also an philosophical issue. How do we see human beings in relation to nature? And well, you know, you ask my personal opinion. Let me just leave it open. So what I see two trends. One trend is the environmentalism. So people who say, you know, we have to go back to nature. We have to preserve nature. Economic growth is wrong. Capitalism is wrong. We have to do it away with markets. So back to nature. That is one way of thinking. The other way of thinking, you can call eco-modernism. People who say, no, we don't need to do away with the market economy, but we have to develop clean and green technologies. So there is a task here for entrepreneurs. There is a task here for industries in terms of solar panels, in terms of new technologies. That is a huge debate between two fronts. So let me, of course, that is also something that we want to explore further in our research. But yeah, personally, this is not an academic statement. This is my personal conviction. Our world population grows from 6 billion to 9 billion in the coming years. Enormous population growth. Those people have to eat. Those people need water. Those people need to travel. I personally, this is not an academic statement, I personally don't see how we can go back to nature and solve all those problems without highly sophisticated green and clean technologies. And for those technologies, we need companies, we need industries that produce in a responsible way. So we have to convince industries that they, in terms of future, of course, they want to make money, but they can make money in a clean and green way. That's my personal conviction. And yeah, that has to do with the fact that our population grows enormously in the next decades. And I don't see how we can address those huge issues by, yeah, in my view, a romantic view of going back to nature. But once again, that is not an academic statement. I don't have any proof for that. That is my personal conviction.
Thank you. Excuse me, Prof. Vincent, when we go back to your presentation, I was just wondering how that you get the data that you mentioned before, that this our country, Indonesia, is a lot of problem with wasted material, with clean water, with pollution and everything. And can you give us data about this?
Yeah, but I mean, it's better to refer to my PhD students. Hayani Saptaninkias came up with very interesting data.
Right, okay,
of course,
okay.
we have been working at the Citarum River.
Okay.
I mean,
Citarum River,
that
okay,
is,
right, yeah.
That is, I mean, you don't need any proof. You just go to Citarum and you see yourself.
Yeah, Citarum is one of the worst river in Indonesia.
I think the same with the Ciliwung River.
Ciliwung, Citarum, right.
Just look at the river, full of plastics, full of garbage.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, yeah, right.
you don't need to be a prophet to see yourself.
Okay, all right.
But most of the data are published. I mean, I have in front of me a book edited by Anthony Wright, Indonesia Rising, the repositioning of Asia's third giant, which is full of data on pollution in Indonesia. For me, I mean, it is not so important whether Indonesia loses 60 or 70 or 80% of its rainforest. We all know that problem.
Yeah.
And so whether the 60 or 7, I mean, it is a challenge, not only for Indonesia, but for the whole of the world.
Right. Okay.
But let me go back by my first statement. I think that Indonesia as a country made a huge contribution already in the international debates, in international summits. And also Islam as a religion made a huge contribution to the environmental discussion. But yet at the domestic level in Indonesia, yeah, you still face quite some challenges.
Thank you. Others, do you have any question? Student, ada listener, audience? Ada Pak Alip yang mau nanya lagi?
Belum ada ini, Pak.
120.
Awal Kasubdit.
Ya, Pak Adip. It's more than 150 ya. Audience. No one asking question.
Can you explain further how the idea of ecology can be integrated with science?
Yeah.
There's a strong spirit that science must be value-free. How about integrating eco-theology with the audience?
Ada yang mau nanya lagi, Pak Prof?
Pak Muhammad Hasan Basri.
Iya, silakan Pak Muhammad Hasan Basri. Time is yours. Pak Muhammad, silakan.
Do you want me to respond to this question that is in the chat or what?
No, it's okay. There's another person who want to ask about the question.
Let me just address briefly the chat.
Okay, all right, okay. Please,
and then I come to the speaker. Professor, can you explain further how the idea of eco-theology can be integrated with science, natural science, while until now there is a strong spirit that science must be value-free? Well, that is exactly the point that I wanted to make. Personally, I don't believe in value-free science. And of course, natural sciences, they don't have visions, but that is exactly why we need that integration for, so that we can formulate from a religious or philosophical point of view what we want sciences to contribute. and what we want scientists to investigate further. But indeed, in general, in Indonesia, there is a very strong trend that science is value-free or neutral or objective. Whereas, as I see in Europe, there is much more idea that all our knowledge generation in science is somehow related to interest or to power, so that a pure value-free science is very difficult to achieve, if not impossible. But anyway, from a comprehensive approach, let me give an example that you saw in Citarum. The government of West Java has a very interesting integrated water management plan, comprehensive plan to do something about Citarum River. And all the disciplines work from their own perspective. So the water engineer deepens the river and normalizes the river. And then you see that all the mud is just thrown next to the river. But that mud is heavily polluted with metals, with chemicals. Children are playing there, so causing a health problem. Of course, the water engineer thinks, oh, I did my thing. You know, we normalized the river and now there's no flood. But create another problem. So we need that comprehensive vision. You can dig wells, as the government proposed to do. Instead of cleaning up the river to get clean water, you can dig wells. But when millions of people start digging wells, the groundwater goes down. You create even a larger problem. So that means you can think in terms of a value-free science, okay, for water engineering or whatever. But if you don't have a broader vision, you create even more problems, because you don't see what the effect of one solution is on other issues.
Yep.
I hope that you get my point.
Right, yeah. Silakan yang lain mau nanya, Pak.
Oke.
Pak siapa?
Saya,
Suara
Pak.
kedengaran, Pak Zul.
Ya, Pak Adip.
Bagus.
Saya
Bagus,
bisa.
Ya kan, sama Pak siapa nih? Pak Muhammad Hasan ya?
Oke, ya, terima kasih. Thank you.
Pak Adip, oke, silakan.
Thank you, Prof. Franz. I am a PhD student in Western Sydney University, and my research is also a green Islam and green pesantren in Indonesia.
Okay,
what I want to ask about is about the main challenges in Indonesia, especially for Islamic community. Is I have three here: state, corporate, and also Islamic institution like pesantren. For example, the problem of forest in Kalimantan or in Sumatra. Sometimes we have some values and also some pesantren that held ecology, for example, but in front of corporate or business community that force, for example, to take the forest and also land forest in Sumatra and Kalimantan, they have no power to do a better condition, for example, and also even the state cannot do anything in front of the businessmen, for example. What do you think about this? And the second is about the rule of pesantren in Indonesia. We have thousands pesantren in Indonesia, but only a little number that concern in environmental degradation, as you mentioned. How do you think about the collaboration? About you mentioned about how to collaborate between higher education in Indonesia with pesantren, for example. How do you think about the the rule of pesantren in this case. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, two interesting questions.
Right. Yeah. Second.
Let me first address the first issue. So I hear that so we have doing this research in Citarum River, and of course that is something that we hear very often. You know, yeah, it is not us, but it is the industry. You know, there's the textile industry or the big businesses, and we don't have we don't have any impact or we don't have any influence on that. Yeah, that to a certain extent that is a problem. But if you continue thinking like that, nothing will change. That is why I mentioned the living lab approach, where you really don't develop new technologies in a laboratory in a university, but you bring the technician to a very concrete situation in a village or a campus or a pesantren or wherever, and you bring the government there, you bring the entrepreneur there, you bring the faith-based organization there, and together you solve a problem. Of course, for a businessman wants to make money. I understand that. That is the profession. But you can also make money, and industry can also be profitable in a green and clean way. So that needs of course some time, and it needs some awareness, but that is possible. In a broader perspective, we know that industries in Europe, the big companies like Shell or Philips company, they really know that also government policies within the European Union are changing slowly, maybe too slow, but they are changing. Legislation in Brussels is changing. So they very well know that they cannot continue in the way they do. For Indonesia, you know, Indonesia started free trade negotiations with the European Union a decade ago. That means if I am a businessman in Indonesia, and I know that Indonesia will have a free trade negotiation with the European Union, not next year, but maybe after 10 years, maybe after 20 years. I think twice if I make an investment now, because I know when we are going to produce for the European market, it has to be in harmony with very strict green and clean technologies and regulations. So in the broader perspective, if we can convince the larger industries of that, I think things can change. Let me give an example, a very small example of a living lab in Yogyakarta. You know, we have the water problem in Yogyakarta because of the hotel industry. Many hotels, well, not now because of the COVID, but after the COVID, there will be hundreds of thousands of tourists going to Yogyakarta, all consuming water. So the water level goes down. Poor people suffer because they don't have water. They are going to protest in front of the hotel. That is already happening. Now, a very concrete example. Is it a technological problem? No, it is not a technological problem at all. Water can be recycled. The poor people in the street, they have a problem. They don't have water. The hotel manager has a problem because he does not like protesting people in front of his hotel when the tourists come. A tourist, when I come, I have a problem because I don't want a bad feeling when I enter the hotel. I see protesting people in front of the hotel. So what is the problem here? Somebody has to move. You know, when you make it very concrete, somebody has to move. Is it the government that has to move? Or is it the hotel manager who has to move? Or is it the people in the street who have to move? Or is it the technician who has to move? Somebody has to move. And that's what we try to do with this living lab approach. That if we want, okay, this is it is the textile industry in Citarum. So I can do something about it. I just leave the industry and I go further with throwing plastic into the river. Nothing will happen. So somebody has to move. And going to the pesantren, I think that pesantren are excellent places to do that, because there are people living on the spot. You have the Kuyai, who not only has the cognitive teaching, but also the teaching of the heart. You can give a very good example on the spot. You can be an example for the neighborhood. And that is already going on. So there are already very good examples where that happens. And in terms of collaborating with institutes of higher learning, I think there are already pesantren who are integrated in institutes of higher learning. After this talk, that is funny, but after this talk, I will have a session with the ITS in Surabaya and a university in Pasuruan, a very small university in Pasuruan that has its own pesantren, and we are developing a project on water and waste management funded by the Indonesian and the Dutch government. That is a very, very concrete example where a pesantren collaborates with a university, also a technical university, with the government, and we are yet to find a local entrepreneur who is interested in doing an investment there. So that can be done. But of course, it needs time. We cannot do that tomorrow. We cannot do that next year. But it needs a broader vision, a vision that really can inspire us. But when we always blame about the industry, we will not move.
All right. Okay, thank you, Prof.
Going back to what I said, I'm a real optimist. And I really think that industries see it profitable if they have that broader picture, that they can make money, because that is what they aim at, in a green and clean way. And that can be done.
Yeah, we hope they change the way they do their business, Prof. Franz.
Yeah. But you know, if you know, those people who did their PhD studies in Netherlands or in Radboud University, they know that we have a river here, the Waal, that half a century ago, it was heavily polluted.
Mm.
And it was heavily polluted because there was a chemical industry in Switzerland that polluted chemicals, and there was a big problem in Switzerland. And of course, the river goes through 7 countries, creating a health problem in Netherlands, in France, in Germany. Now, if we wait that somebody starts to move, nothing will happen. But it was really faith-based organizations who said, we have to do something about it. We cannot tolerate that this river is so polluted. And then gradually governments came in, industries came in, and now we see that those people who are in Nijmegen, they know, and we have a lot of sports activities, we have restaurants, we have nice housing. The river is clean. Buses in Nijmegen, buses in Nijmegen, they run on biogas, produced from the mud from the river, and so on. But once again, it needs a vision. It needs a vision that can inspire people, that can motivate people. And in my view, faith-based organizations should be in front of that, because they have a larger vision. You know, when I have a water engineer, I have a focus. I'm focused on water engineering. When I'm a medical doctor, I'm focused on medicine. For religions, we have a broader vision. We see everything in a broader perspective. So for religious studies, we can formulate visions that really can inspire people to do something.
Okay. Thanks, Prof. Wilson. I think time is running out. Pak Adip, do you have something to say? Silakan, Pak Adip.
Hello?
Yeah, Pak Adip, please, yeah, time is yours.
Prof. Hans, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for your nice presentation and also explanations in terms of the strengthening Islamic higher educations, the ecology and science. And maybe this is not the last meeting for us to collaborate in terms of building connections, Islamic higher educations to some universities in Netherlands. So I guess before we would like to end up our meeting, I would like to quote some quotation. This is not hadith, but this is the word, the sentence always repeated from some PhD graduate from overseas universities. Ra'aitul Islama bidunil Muslimin. Maybe if Afnan or people just like Latif Fauzi, who is now doing PhD at Netherlands and then came back to Indonesia, will say that Ra'aitul Islama bidunil Muslimin. I saw some practice of Islamic teaching in Netherlands. And then they came back to Indonesia and they reflect what we can do in Indonesia. So in terms of our policy in Islamic higher education, we transform some of Islamic higher education into a university in order to integrate between Islam and science, in order to contribute for these current challenges and future need of the society, which is environment, things like that. So I guess we need to discuss a lot of things, Prof. Hans, how to construct the curriculum within the State Islamic University, because now we are considering that Islamic higher education can no longer isolated entities. We have to expand it, our contribution, and we already transformed some our Islamic education to be a university, and hopefully one day you can visit not virtually like this, but you can visit us to our office, our Islamic education, and give a talk and lectures within Islamic University. Just give you a quick example. State Islamic University in Lampung, for instance, got a lot of Nobel Prizes in terms of Indonesian Islamic University as a good Islamic university, which really care about the green campus. Professor Mukri has been invited some secular university to present his campus, how Islamic education able to integrate between Islam and environment, and how to create green campus within State Islamic University. Thank you very much, Prof. Franz. Hope to see you again in Jakarta, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, Mas Afnan, who helped us to organize this meeting as well. Back to you, Pak Zul Fahri.
Okay, thank you, Pak Adip. I think time is running out, and we are thanking you, Prof. Wilson, Mas Afnan. We will meet again in the next webinar, and I hope this kind of presentation is really very what we call this one, very nice presentation, very good one. But we make us shocked to hear about this kind of problem in Indonesia, and we need your help to improve that condition. Prof. Wilson, thank you very much, and see you next international meeting. And I hope you have having a very good health. And who knows, maybe Pak Adip and me will come to your campus next time. I think we want to go there. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very
much.
It was a pleasure. Okay, thank you. See you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We now closing this webinar. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
I wish you all the best.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Makasih.
Saya itu biasa kaget atau
Halo Pak Kiai Afnan. Assalamualaikum. Afnan
Salam.
Leden. Halo Pak Afnan. Afnan, sorry.
Pak.
Halo Pak Afnan.
Halo, halo.
Sorry. Afnan, I'm sorry.
Halo.
Gimana kabar Belanda?
Sebentar.
Gimana kabar Belanda?
Alhamdulillah baik. Ini saya udah matikan Zoom saya, terus pindah Zoom satunya.
Udah jam 1 malam.
Ini baru jam berapa ya? Setengah 12.
Oh, tidak mau maghrib ini. Waktu
Belum
Gorontalo.
sempatan,
Gorontalo udah mau maghrib ini.
ya kemarin nyari waktu agak susah, terutama teman-teman yang di Amerika kan masih pagi sekali, masih gelap. Jadi
Mas
teman-teman
Afnan, terima kasih.
kan
Selamat makan siang di Belanda. Pamit.
nggak tahu, mungkin ada yang ikut tapi sambil berbaring. Halo Pak Eko, Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih. Selamat makan siang.
Ini pakarnya ada di sini, tadi kita tunggu-tunggu ini suaranya.
Tadi membelah diri, tabrakan dengan beberapa event. Nanti berikutnya. Terima kasih sudah promosi UIN Lampung tadi.
Ya. Tadi udah disebut juga oleh Pak Kasubdit.
Iya, siap.
Kemarin kan saya kasih bukti bahwa PTKIN sudah melakukan lah, sudah kayak UIN Lampung, UIN Semarang gitu.
Iya.
Melakukan sesuatu gitu. Artinya.
Iya. Terima kasih Mas Afnan, sampai ketemu, sukses.
Terima kasih banyak.
Ya, terima kasih Pak Afnan, Pak Kiai.
Ya.
Salam ya.
Ya.
Ya, Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih panitia.
Salam. Iya, sama-sama Bapak Ibu.
Terima kasih banyak Pak Kasubdit. Terima kasih.
Iya, sampai ketemu di lain kesempatan.
Ya, sampai ketemu. Terima kasih banyak.
Bapak Ibu mohon izin untuk saya off-kan ya.
itu ada yang tanya link sertifikatnya katanya.
Ya, silakan Bapak Ibu ngisi absensi yang sudah di-share di chat room, di menu chat. Silakan isi Google Form-nya Bapak Ibu yang belum ngisi absen.
Oh, jadi link sertifikatnya dikirim langsung ke email ya?
Oke, nanti kami akan email sesuai dengan yang ngisi absensi, Bu.
Baik, terima kasih ya.
Oke. Karena ternyata banyak yang daftar tapi tidak ikut.
Makasih Pak Alif.
Oke,
Salam dari
baik.
Pacitan. Assalamualaikum.
Ya, Waalaikumsalam.